Hi, I'm Jelena. I'm a game designer from Budapest.
And hey, I'm Kia. I'm from the States originally. I live in Berlin. I'm an artist and designer. And we're 2/5 of a design team that created a project game something platform called Patternist. And the other members are Holly Childs, Lena Bondarenko, Martin Byrne. And this iteration of something of a performative presentation, this is what the project is, it might be confusing, presentation, is developed in collaboration with Alessandro Bertelle and Holly Childs as well. So basically, Patternist was an augmented reality game that came from research on the city, when cities were still cities, when we still called sensors phones. And the original storyline centered around the discovery of a fictional exoplanet. And you could reveal layers of this fictional exoplanet by gesturing on the app interface. But since time passed and the discovery of the TRAPPIST-3 solar system, we speculate more that it might be a little bit more complex on the origin story than previously supposed.
Science fiction is still often used as a way to obtain a critical view on the world indirectly. Today, we have more options to talk about complex subject matter through immersive experiences like games, instead of just words on a page or time-based media such as films, start and end points. Games expand our understanding of consensus reality using puzzles, team play, and adventures to navigate other possible worlds. We navigate a specific consensus reality we call the city, based on our intimate knowledge of it. We didn't know that creating games also created reality. However, cities today, and even more so in 2018, were often imaged by satellite, and we would navigate through identifying with a floating blue dot. Planners talked about embedding sensors within the city. But even then, we knew there already were sensors here in our hands, but we called them smartphones. Creating romance and fictions like Pokemon Go for Tinder fanfic and PayPal Weibo. Our sensors, our devices, do not need to separate us from this richness, but can supplement and support it, so long as we give them the space and the means to do so. And as long as it goes beyond meme-worthy arguments with personal AIs. This provided us with an entry point for re-enchantment with the unbuilt city. Originally, in 2017, we cataloged 7 of these unbuilt or semi-built attributes to initiate gameplay. Each attribute corresponding to one of the fundamental elements of the Patternist world. For example, econdalso, found near still unobservable, ungentrified and militarized obscure passageways, such as under roadways or through courtyards. We'll show you an example of how these first prototypes worked.
Cool. So the original game Reality of Patternist, developed in 2017, took a look at what these elements could be and what it meant to encounter them in your daily environment. So you'll probably be already familiar with most of them, but there's things like econdalso, babiconium, and others. We'll do a live demo of the app now. So as you can see, collecting elements, and enough pieces have been revealed and collected in your environment, then you can hit the reveal button. And uncloak an alien landscape. Great. So another aspect of early Patternist gameplay was trading the elements. the tokenized urban attributes that you saw floating on the last screen. And trading became began as a necessary gameplay component, allowing players to collect elements that might not be in their everyday environment, but in other players. So, since you can trade with other players, but only when they're nearby, and this is a desktop version of the first game, you can only meet them physically nearby or virtually nearby, but slowly those two modes blended together. And in our times of disappearing central currency, without mediating value other than the app, it allowed players to trade directly with each other, and multiple players at a time. So from one to one to many, and many to many, the players could trade with each other without an authority mediating that transaction other than the game. So the game also recorded these transactions and their location data, and assigned each a unique identifier. So this, we noticed, started imbibing the Patternist landscape as something of a distributed ledger, with a real-world spatial record of transactions, but also something like the first stage of an AI terraforming. And as this diagram shows, there was the 7 elements you saw earlier, which are signified by the circles, and the squares represent the alloys of these landforms that represent the city, or the hovering city. So each alloy, and there's 21 in total on this grid, represents the urban attributes it's composed of. And now, the gameplay as well, you can preview the urban alloy, and players can select 2 elements from a gridded interface to create a potential alloy and a landscape to be grown, which then can be previewed on a mesh piece hovering above the fictional, virtual, or real city. So the neighborhood we followed in 2018 was a 100 by 100 meter grid in the former Shell canteen just by the Eye Museum. So what observations did Patternist inherit from Adam Tower, where the tallest swing in Europe overlooks a city at 760 years in the making? Or 100 meters away, the red-hot creative hub of Amsterdam Nord, or on the ferry over from Central? So as we collected the elements and alloys on this visit in 2018, we found that we walked from neighborhood to neighborhood, we saw varying scales of complexity and gooey terrain forming over them. So the game became a method then to blend realities, weaving them together in ways that allow players to navigate multiple worlds simultaneously. And that is before the worlds collapsed into each other. Patternist was a game predicated on reality bleed, speculative landscapes superimposed onto the ones we already know, shifting time and space. But what happened when they melded together, and how they impacted one another? Our cinematic trailer hinted at the beginnings.
Поначалу нам казалось, что это погода. Неизвестные частицы в воздухе. Но после утечки документов мы стали видеть закономерности. Материализовались странные ландшафты. Появились новые схемы. Схемы.
So, as you can see, Patternist is more than just a game. It's an entire speculative world, layered with a distant planet, observed with the help of a nostalgia-infused space corporation. Old and new fake news as contingency planning for things that had already not happened, more than we could include this afternoon. And the Patternist Threat Inbound 3 Time Travel Edition is now available for your device in the application store. You can download the desktop version from itch.io by arguing with your AI assistant. You can access the Patternist world and origin story through our website at pattern.ist. A future so alien, it might as well be a new planet, in a time when planet Usk was still called Mars. Resurgence in witchcraft and psychic healing. And we'll see you soon in Patternist 2023. That's all we got. Oops.